Have you ever heard of wushu dancing?
Liyue Harbor is always changing, so it is only fitting that Lantern Rite should change in turn.
Wushu dancing is famous in Chunyu Vale. Performers might be invited to promote the opening of a business or to spread good fortune during a holiday season.
Miss Farina is now one of my esteemed clients!
Is that so?
You're quite right, Miss Hutao.
How about we grab some dim sum from Shinya Kiosk? My treat! Congratulations! Up to it, Manzai!
A kite is always tied down no matter how far it flies or how high it soars.
O kite born of paper, flying true and sound, a lone traveler wanders, just waiting to be found.
I always believed we would see each other again, that our days of separation would finally end.
Lantern Rite should be a day of reunion.
I don't know. I don't remember.
You chose a path without a future.
Spare mine innocent child. I alone am the source of this sin.
One is fast on one's feet. Try to keep pace. Way for the acceptance.
Welcome to the Cat's Tail. Ah, what a nice surprise.
Don't tell me you came to learn Genius Invocation TCG without bringing any cards! It is time to see what you are made of.
With sword comes shadow. Go as one!
Hello, everyone, travelers, players, fellow caster Blup. Welcome to the Castles Gathering, season 1 of 2024. My name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah, and I'm one of your casters today. Sorry, a bit of a different intro than usual.
Yeah, this is Blup at Blup the Dean of Invocation Academy. You can tell we're a little bit jet lagged still because we just came off of the Winter Invitational, kind of to cap. Sorry, the Asia Invitational to cap off the last year of Genius Invocation. But we're about to head into a brand new year and a brand new competitive season.
Yeah, we have a brand new year ahead of us, and this is basically the first season of the tournaments that will seed into the really big ones. So I'm really, really excited to see the games today. We are still on the same patch that we were on for the Asia Invitational, so if you were watching along with us then, I would expect to see some similar things coming from the players now, but it's, of course, going to be totally different players, totally different region, right? So.
Yeah, it's the first step kind of into the ladder that's going to, lead to the Prince Cups and, of course, the new card backs and all of that for the coming year. Yeah. So really excited to see what is happening. I mean, like you said, we are in the same metagame that we were for the Asian Invitational, but we already saw a lot of unique decks come out of that tournament. So I'm actually pretty excited to see what, the people in this region have come up with.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, this is the America Finals. There are tournaments for each of the 3 regions with Cattails Gathering. Also, the format is a little bit different from the Asia Invitational. I know we keep calling back to that tournament. It was like the really big tournament that was like the culmination of everything that happened the past year. But so these players are definitely going to be bringing probably something different. I mean, there's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but I hope to see some variation just because it's a different format. So, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
Slightly different. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it's blind pick, so the players can kind of just choose any and build any 3 decks to play into any 3 decks from the opponent.
So if you have never tuned into the Cattails Gathering, by the way, this is more of a community tournament. It's authorized by Hoyoverse. And of course, as I was saying, it's on 3 different servers, Asia, Europe, and America. During the preliminary stage, it's a 2-phase tournament. So the preliminary stage, players have to play up to 35 games, and they will get ranked on the leaderboard up to 16, basically. And the top 16 players advance on to the knockouts, where they play best of 3s, and it's all blind pick. Like, they're not submitting their decks ahead of time. It's not a conquest format. They're just kind of like picking blindly into their opponents.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot challenging because, as we saw, there are definitely a lot of skewed matchups. So it is a little bit, up to chance based on what you pick, how you match into your opponent. But a lot of these players that you're going to see today are going to be players that you'll see from previous tournaments and will probably see in future tournaments. There is some strategy there to, if you can kind of know what your opponent might be bringing, you can kind of counterpick them a little bit.
And here on the screen is something new, by the way, to the Cattails Gathering 2024 season. So they now have a score system. Basically, they've turned the Cattails Gathering tournaments into a sort of circuit. So, I mean, last year we did see how the tournaments like seeded players into like the live events, right? With the Prince Cups, then eventually the Invitationals, like the Asia Invitational. But here we have it basically confirmed. So you can kind of see the point breakdown, but this is going to be going on for both season 1, season 2 of Cattails Gathering. There is a second season coming up, so stay tuned for that if you didn't get a chance to play this time. But yeah, basically, depending on your placement, you will be given like circuit points, Catstill points as they call them, and whoever has the most points will be qualifying for the series showdown, which will then seed into the Prince Cups. So make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been familiar with last year's Prince Cup system, it's pretty similar. The main difference is instead of having just one season go into a Prince Cup, it's going to be multiple. So it's rewarding consistent behavior, which I really like.
I really like that too. And here we have our schedule for today. So match 1 is going to be that 3rd place match. It's going to be Naganohara Hanabi versus Pilot. And then match 2, the finals, is going to be Yahida versus Seo. So Yahida actually attended the North America Prince Cup that we casted. It was our first live event, right? Really excited. He got 2nd place in that event. Really, really excited to see how he shows up here in this final. Looks like we're getting into it immediately. Of course, the person with the Yoimiya's fireworks name has the Yoimiya profile picture, but it looks like they're going with Mew.
Yeah, Mono Yola Wanderer. We saw this deck a lot at the Asian Invitational. It was kind of weird. It was the most played deck because it was the least banned, but it also performed the poorest. So we'll have to see if Hanabi here, which we'll be calling them from here on out, Hanabi here can do a little bit better than what we saw. It's a really hard deck to play into the current metagame, I think. So I think it's a pretty brave pick, personally.
Yeah, if I remember right from... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, throwing the Asian Invitational, people brought it really early, but like it really dropped off very quickly in popularity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember from the group stage of the Asia Invitational, I think it had a 33% win rate coming out of it. Yeah, here is Pilot's deck, by the way. So he's going with this Child Stall. This is so interesting. I've actually played against this deck a few times before, including against Pilot himself. So I kind of get how this works. It's very similar to the Ningguang Double Hydro Stall, actually, except it has that freeze. So...
yeah, I've also faced this recently as well. That Atlas Bow, very nice on Child, can really pump up a lot of damage out of the burst here. But I also see that he's running Passing of Judgment as well. It's becoming pretty popular in these stall decks to run that. Yeah, I
know. I remember at the start of this patch when that card was first released, everyone was like, I don't think that card is going to be very good. And I had hope. I had faith. And now we're seeing more people play it. So I'm really excited. But who do you think is favored in this matchup?
I mean, honestly, with Mew, it's kind of a coin toss depending on how they draw. If Hanabi manages to get that, I think 1,000 Floating Dreams is basically the high roll for the deck. If he starts off with a Wagner opener into that, it's going to be pretty hard for Pilot to mitigate all of that damage. The damage is going to come out pretty quick, but it does depend on the draw there.
And here we go, getting into the first dice rolls of this first game. Just a reminder, this is the 3rd place match. This is a best of 3. They blind pick these decks. Those dice on Pilot side are crazy, by the way.
They're insane. They're perfect, basically. I mean, we're almost going to see 100%, if you have Lila in your deck, you almost always want to open with Lila. So having that 3 cry there is perfect. And then he's really able to do anything he wants with the rest of that dice. So great opener there.
That's like 8 usable dice, like right off the bat for Pilot.
Yeah, I don't think we're tracking usable die for this tournament, but, Pilot's
I'm going to track it. I'm going to track it.
On Hanabi's side, though, he did get the 3 Hydro die, which is what you want out of that opener, and does have a 5 dice ramp.
Shadows of Fate.
Well, they're having to spend one of them on Dunyazad.
Yamona going for her elemental skill, so this is a very standard start on Mew, right? I really like the double Dunyazad. I wonder if he pulled that Liben, right? I wonder if that's what he was going for. Wait!
Oh my god. It's... wow.
The mirror double Dunyazad.
I'm seeing double 4 Dunyazads. So I think Hanabi really wanted to pull a Paimon from the deck. That would have been perfect if he was able to drop Paimon into that Instructor. Liben's gonna be really awkward because now he has 2 cards that kind of add up to 5 die with only 4 dice remaining. So he's probably gonna drop that Liben and maybe try and draw for another Paimon. Because you can't just
because the second Dunyazad's gonna activate, right? So I think that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what we see. Yeah, it is a Wagner. I mean, that's not bad. You could use one of the Geo dice there and basically proc Liben, right?
Yeah, I think you definitely want to use the Geo die there. So I'm almost certainly gonna be a Wagner and then into that Liben. You probably can wait on Instructors because you can equip it just fine next round. But as we saw, Wagner is a little bit risky. We kind of coined it the weapon gacha because you kind of pull 1 of 3 weapons from your deck, and Too is not too bad.
That's not too bad. Also, I like how Hanabi's dice looks like a traffic light.
Tidal wave!
A little bit. So, very interestingly though, we saw Pilot lead up on Lila, but rather than skilling, they instead went to Child, which is actually really surprising, because I would have expected them to skill right away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's going for the extra damage on Child here. After playing Rana, he basically got a second attack out for free, right? Because Rana generated that Hydro Dice from Barbara, so just getting some extra damage. I guess, you know, he's playing a stall deck, but it has aggressive elements, right?
Yeah, Child, I mean, again, as you said at the beginning, acts a lot like Ningguang in that he has that really powerful burst. And I think Pilot's taking this route because he knows he's not really favored into this matchup if Mew has a pretty strong opening. So rather than sitting back and stalling and kind of unsuccessfully tanking all that damage, he's going to go to Child, build up to that burst, and basically threaten Wanderer before he has a chance to safely take the field.
Hanabi taking his time to decide. I mean, I don't think he's deciding what dice to reroll. He's more thinking about what he's going to do next in this round. But real, another Wagner coming down, pulling that Wolf's Gravestone. Is that? I think it is what he wants, right?
I think so. I mean, we saw him actually keep one of the Cryo Die there. I think because Pilot built up on Child, he knows that putting all of his eggs into Wanderer might be a bad idea because the Child Burst could come out and kind of shut that strategy down. So I kind of like this, playing the second Wagner for free even, and then setting up for Wolf's Gravestone, probably not this round, but next round.
So, speaking of Child, I feel like this deck is a little bit more versatile than double Hydro Ningguang stall, and I think part of that is because Child has two different modes. He has his melee stance and his range stance, and then that impacts like the effects of his burst. So do you want to talk about
battle plan?
Like a little bit about the differences and which one you think Pilot might go for?
I mean, you almost certainly want to go for the melee burst. So the range burst is less powerful, does 5 damage, I believe, but does refund 2 energy. Not the most efficient one, but for this deck, we're mainly looking to set up Child's melee burst, which does go up to 7 damage and then can be buffed as well by the what is it called? That symbol. Oh man, I'm forgetting the names of all of these buffs. Riptide, yes, the Riptide. So we're probably going to see Child here apply some Riptide. So it looks like Hanabi is going for a freeze play here. So rather than going to Wander right away.
So, yeah, I was about to say, so we see Hanabi quick swap from Mona to Eula and equip that Wolf's Gravestone, of course for free because Wagner was at 3 stacks, the first Wagner. Now, Hanabi can basically go for a freeze if he wants to be shutting down Child.
Shudder!
Yeah.
That's exactly what we see here.
I really like that play here because it's a lot more aggressive, I think, than the usual lines. But your opponent also, didn't Lila skill on round 1, so they're also don't have as much defensive setup as they normally would. So it's not really, Pilot isn't really playing his deck right now like a stall deck. He's playing it more like a combo deck, trying to build up on Child. So I like this counter to, I guess, the counter play itself. It's kind of the next level of the next level.
I almost wonder why Hanabi didn't equip the instructors on Eula, though. I guess, maybe that means Hanabi is still intending to go to Wonder?
I mean, unless you can generate 2 or 3 die off of Instructor in 1 round, which Eula's going to have a lot harder time doing. Instructor's pretty much only good on Wanderer. We've seen Eula equip Instructors occasionally, but that's only when there's like a Timaeus on the field to discount Instructors. So it's a free equip, and then you can generate a +1 die. But having to pay 2 for Instructor at this point in time is definitely not worth it. So you definitely don't want to be going for that right now.
Wonder if we're gonna see Pilot swapping off to Layla, and that's exactly what we see. I mean, Pilot is forced to swap there with Child frozen, but
yeah, we might
probably
see
gonna see
Pilot
her
now.
elemental skill, right?
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, the skill does last for the whole game, so usually you do want to put it out in that first round. But Pilot definitely prioritizing the energy.
Are you sure it has to be me?
The burst, but both decks kind of slowing down their game.
Let's get this over with.
Yeah, and here we have Hanabi swapping to Wander, most certainly trying to go for that swirl. Ooh, Pilot equipping Tenacity of the Millet onto Barbara and basically doing a swap stall here, not going for Layla's skill like we thought, but I guess avoiding the swirl there, right?
Yeah, trying to avoid that Wander swirl that Hanabi is threatening, and I think that's a really good decision. I mean, you see Hanabi there with the 2 Anemo die was probably setting up his plan from the beginning, but now isn't really going to want to attack into Barbara, so a very odd matchup to see, but we might see another swap stall coming out. We might see Hanabi
Ready
go back
for
to
reconnaissance.
Mona, or Eula. Yeah, looks like it is Eula.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Hanabi going to Eula, and now, I mean, Pilot on 3 dice is going to be forced to do something here, right? So.
Yeah,
Question
could be a
is
Barbara
what?
skill.
Yeah.
Barbara skill's a little bit risky because you could be applying like if Hanabi just ends here, it could work out pretty well for Pilot.
I mean, on 4 dice, you're not really gonna end, right? I mean, of course, the pilot doesn't know that they're like the perfect dice, but still, 4 dice is 4 dice.
It is. Yeah, you could definitely equip Instructors here, but otherwise you might just go back to Wanderer. And if you go back to Wanderer and your opponent ends on Barbara, then they'll get a self-Hydra application. But it looks like just gonna go for the attack.
Interesting, going for a normal attack. I wonder if that was actually a good decision.
I think he's saving that skill for Child, because again, you know, just like with the Ningguang deck, the key piece here is Child. If he goes down, then Pilot's deck really does nothing from then on. Like Layla and Barbara are not going to be able to do enough damage, and so it's all about protecting Child here. So Hanabi saving that Grimheart for Child to threaten him even through a Lotus.
Right, so that's why Eula didn't go for elemental skill, because she does have the Grimheart, right? So it would have taken up the extra damage, and she wouldn't have had it for Child. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We do see Pilot swapping to Layla here, but that is going to give Hanabi turn prio going into the next round.
I think that's fine. Spot. We'll probably most likely see Pilot in here just so you know he doesn't spread that Barbara Hydra aura. We actually saw in the Asia Invitational the Barbara Hydra did kind of work against a Ningguang stall deck, so we'll have to see if Hanabi can move into a position where he can benefit from that Hydra application or not. But so far, Pilot did a pretty good job. Yeah.
I remember those games. Like, sometimes, you know, that self-hydro application is really good for cleansing elemental reactions, right? But it is not great if you're trying to avoid giving applications so your opponent can deal reactions with them. But yeah, see, Voracrush's Glow, I believe, being equipped onto Layla there. So, with Hanabi going first, it should almost certainly be... like Procure, right? Or Hanabi might swap off, but we'll see. Ooh, 1,000 Floating Dreams going on Wanderer. That's gonna buff elemental reaction damage. Actually, doesn't need to be him doing the elemental reaction, right? So this is gonna buff the freeze on Eula, right?
Yeah, so the Eula Burst hit will do additional damage because of that equip. So very nice there, drawing it off the top there. The final weapon, and probably the best weapon for Wanderer in this spot. Although we've seen people equip that to Mona as well. You know, since Hanabi did have that second weapon, there was a window for him to equip it to Mona. But Wanderer being at 9 means you can still safely go to it. And I think against a stall deck, Wanderer is going to be stronger at dealing damage. So we might see Hanabi, unfortunately, doesn't have a quick swap. I think if a quick swap here would be a very easy swap onto a Wanderer skill. But since he doesn't have that quick swap, he might be forced to just stay on Eula here.
Looks like that Instructors did get equipped onto Eula after all. Most certainly going to be seeing a freeze here, and it is her Elemental Burst coming out that's going to freeze Layla, eating through her shield and also summoning that very scary thing on Hanabi summon board.
The Eula Burst there, yeah, it can gonna do a lot of damage, although having to after equipping Instructors, you go down to very low dice, so I'm actually not sure how much I like that. I'm not sure what other reactions Hanabi is planning to trigger this round, because I don't think he's going to be able to get another Instructor trigger, and then in that case it's just down 1 die.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, we do see Hanabi sitting on 2 Gilded. Also Liben. Maybe he just wanted options, but we do see Pilot swapping onto Child, thinking it's pretty safe here.
That's a pretty bold move. I mean, Child is above 8, so, you know, not going to be buffed by that Wolf Greystone, but a skill from Eula here still does 6 damage. But if your opponent's at 4 dice, it seems to be pretty safe. And yeah, you mentioned there's Gilded in Hanabi's hand. Unfortunately, he hasn't drawn a Yayoi or any kind of way to discount the Gilded or a Liaisong. So, despite being a very good card, Gilded here not at its best.
Hanabi is sitting on Stove. I'm wondering if we might see a Stove.
I actually am surprised Hanabi didn't play Stove at the beginning of that round just to draw into more options, actually, because I don't think you really need the full value against the stall deck. But at this point, we might just see him wait until round 4 to draw the maximum number of cards. But you really, I feel like you would have wanted to play it early so you can have more options.
Interesting. So we see a double tune there. Liven getting tuned as well.
Yeah.
Going for Eula's elemental skill that is going to eat up that Grim Heart, but Child is sitting at 2 HP. And is Pilot going to stay on Child?
Who's next?
Oh, he is! He's
Wow,
risking
that's
it.
really bold. I mean, I believe though.
This is
Actually,
destiny.
a Yayoi off the top into a Gilded, I think might have been enough, or maybe it was one shot. But yeah, I'm really surprised Hanabi didn't try and dig for any more cards there because he actually was in a position to threaten Child, I believe, because those Dunyazards aren't used. So if you draw a Yayoi into a Liaison exactly, that would have given you enough dice to actually take out Child there.
Oh, you're right. Wait.
Yeah, but
Wait.
he's not gonna he's gonna pass on that window and just let the Eula Burst go down.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah, I mean-
surprised to see him be so conservative with that stove.
Your Child sitting there on 2 HP. I feel like, you know, if you take out Child, no matter what deck you're running, you basically win the game at that point. Because, I mean,
Pretty
Layla and
much, yeah.
Barbara have freeze, but they're not super strong on their own, right? Like, Child is definitely the damage dealer in that deck, so...
Yeah, and with this play here, your opponent still has 5 dice left, and I believe
Let
even
the
this
show begin.
burst from Eula won't be enough to take out Barbara here, so Pilot's actually in a pretty good position, able to tank through that burst. Hanabi does have 2 weapon equipped, so, you know, there's still a chance that he can make something happen here. Barbara will have to self-apply Hydro here, which
Yeah,
might be
but
relevant.
I think Pilot had to do that because Eula's burst summon was going to do a whole lot of damage. So basically, Pilot needed Barbara to eat it up. He even used pizza on her at the end there. But all that healing coming out, like I think Child had a pizza from last round, and then there was Barbara's skill summon, and then also Vorukasha was equipped on the Child. So we healed 3 points there.
Yeah, and Hanabi did end up drawing a Liaison. I really wish he'd used that stove last round because I think there's a good chance that Child just immediately goes down there to the magic engine
What do you want from
out
me?
of nowhere that we've seen so many times on camera. But still a pretty decent spot, I think. But Pilot's, those shields are going to start adding up pretty fast.
I feel like Hanabi's really risky here in slow swapping to... No, it's a quick swap
No,
to
that's a
Wander.
quick
But
swap,
either way, even... Okay, never mind. Quick swap, it's going to swirl the Hydro and freeze Child, never mind.
Yeah, that's
Never
actually
mind.
really
It's
good because
Mona.
that's going to keep Wanderer completely safe this round. So this is a really strong round, I think, for Hanabi. But he's kind of needs to make something happen this round because if he doesn't, then I think Pilot is going to be able to tank through.
Ooh, Liar Song to unequip the instructors from Eula. Gonna put on Wanderer instead and go for the swirl here. And yeah, it is going to freeze Child because he had cryo application on him. It's like at 3 HP. Man, poor Pilot can't get his burst off.
Yeah, and this is really tough because you can't actually swap to Lila here because Wanderer will be able to hit Child. So you're forced to really stay on Barbara. Or I guess if you really want to take a risk, you could swap to Child here and see what happens. But if you stay on Barbara, Wanderer swirl that Hydro. So yeah, but that Barbara burst is ready, and we're probably going to see it this round.
Yeah, I'm not sure about swapping the Child here, but we do see Stove coming out of Hanabi finally. It is round 4, so they draw 4 cards. You see Boar Princess there, and I don't really think that I haven't lost yet. It's gonna come into play at the moment.
No, I mean it will if that Child burst ever goes down, but Hanabi's in a pretty good position this round. I mean, one more hit on Lila here is going to generate another die off Instructor, so he has 2 more attacks this round. But that Barbara Burst is ready to reset everything.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that Heavy Strike as well in Hanabi's hand. It could definitely come out of left field and snipe someone.
Yeah, we're going to say a Heavy Strike
yet.
definitely saved. No, yeah, it's going to be saved here because Lila isn't that important to take down. Although, at this point, Pilot hasn't had an opportunity to skill on Lila yet, which is really interesting. You know, Normally, if you skill on Lila, you know, every skill you use will build up that star stack, and kind of the idea is you skill very early, and then for the rest of the game you have that extra cryo, but we're missing a lot of cryo application here.
Considering all of the cryo dice in Pilot's hand, I think we might see a swap on Delilah very soon, but Barbara's Burst does come out, has to tune 1 for it, but
Yeah.
there we go.
We'll swap into Swapping to Lila will be super risky because of that child being threatened, but I guess Hanabi is forced to do something with the rest of the dice, and we'll probably just see another normal attack.
Opera
skill.
Epiclus Dice Fixer.
Okay.
Behold!
Ultimate Dice Fixer.
I feel like you should have played the second. Oh no, I guess you can play the second one after this, but a second one probably can be played just so you have extra dice next round. We could see a really big next round from Hanabi. If he plays that Opera into Paimon, he's going to have a lot of dice at his disposal.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think Wanderer not really being under threat here is super bad for Pilot. Double Opera Epicleus into that one-cost Paimon because he had double Juniors out on the board.
Not now.
It's a really strong finish, I think. There's Layla's elemental skill finally.
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 Better late than never.
True.
Yeah, but you can see that status being set up there. So every time you use a skill, it's going to tick up by 1. As soon as it hits 4, it lets out a cryo hit. And with Hydro all on the other side, at this point, it is going to freeze whoever it hits.
I really like Layla's elemental skill. I feel like it's very unique
Yeah,
in terms
it is very
of
unique.
like character kits in Genius Invocation TCG. Of course, she's a new character released in this patch 4.3. So
Yeah. We didn't get to see that much of her at the Invitational either. You know, a lot of these slower decks weren't preferred by players. A lot of them were playing more aggressive decks. But yeah, here we see... I know this Lila Chilled Barbara especially has been taking off in the North America region, I think, in particular.
yeah, so I mean, it's not only Pilot that's been playing this deck. I've seen it around quite a bit in random matchmaking. I feel like, I said this earlier, it's very similar to that Ningguang double Hydro Stall, but it does have freeze because, Child also being a Hydro, you already have Hydro with Barbara.
Yeah, but Pilot here with an incredible turn of 12 dice. It's going to be really risky for Pilot to really do anything. Sorry, I said Hanabi with 12 dice.
Not
turn.
now.
Yeah, that normal attack from Wander brings Child down to 2 health, but of course Layla's skill freezing Wander right after, so...
Yeah, really nice use there. So normally Layla's skill ticks up by 1 each time, but if you use her skill specifically a second time, it goes up by 3 all in one go. So you can see there, getting up to 4 and triggering that freeze hit on Wanderer.
And Hanabi forced to swap to Mona here to avoid another freeze on Eula. Has so many good dice, but how are they gonna use them if all of their characters are frozen?
That's a good point. I wonder if Pilot was really setting up for this turn, waiting until his opponent ramped up a lot for one turn. But he's not out of the woods yet because Hanabi has one more turn of 12 dice. Like, have one more uses on each of those operas and another Paimon popping off. So even if Hanabi is completely frozen this round, he has another round to set up and try again.
Yeah, I do believe that's Tenacity the Millilith on Barbara, so if Hanabi goes for a hit here on Barbara, it's going to generate one more dice for Pilot to use this turn, right?
Yeah, it is, but he has so much dice already.
Ready for reconnaissance.
Folded in a quick swap onto Eula.
Beg for mercy.
Yeah.
Not only does this give Hanabi dice, but it's going to enable him to draw a card. Counts.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see Pilot. Yeah, I'm going to say maybe a quick swap onto, saving that Lila burst to be able to freeze Eula to try and shut down all of the attacks on this round.
I think if there's any point where you can use a quick swap, this would definitely be one of them. So, the first is so pretty and it freezes Eula for 4 damage.
Ooh, I wonder if Pilot tuned the wrong dice there, because we see Liban in his hand, but he left himself with 2 Hydro.
It is as
so
the
he's going to
stars
have to tune
foretold.
another card if he wants to drop Liban. I think he actually had a chance to tune one of those Hydro dice, but may have auto dice there.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I was looking at the 2 Hydro dice. I was like,
Yeah, a tiny mistake, but that could be very costly because, again, Hanabi's next turn is looking even worse now. Despite Wanderer and Eula being pretty low, they're really close to their bursts, and they're going to be able to pile on a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah, additionally, Hanabi's not really going to have any elemental auras on this side as well. I think, especially if they choose to end on Mona, that Layla burst is going to eat up that Hydro application, right? So
yeah,
it's going to be harder for Pilot to go for a turn like this where he basically shuts his opponent down with freezes.
Yeah, and with Child on 2, we actually can't end on Lila. if your opponent has turn priority, because
Ooh.
then Child is going to get sniped immediately by Wanderer. So he actually
Right.
has to go to Barbara, but that's going to self-apply Hydro because of that skill there. So this is really good moves by Hanabi here, I think, forcing his opponent's hand.
Yeah, you're right, because Wanderer does have that one win favorite stack, so ending on Layla would basically just mean the end of Child. We do see Pilot ending first. Maybe
Yeah,
this is fine,
that's really
though I'm
important.
a little confused. What is that food in his hand? That's egg, right?
I think it's egg. Yeah, I think that deck runs an egg. I really would have liked to... It's interesting he didn't choose to drop Liben just to get 2 of those dice back. Maybe thinking that at the very least he'll
Let me scry.
tune it or wants to keep Dunyazad and Timaeus around.
Yeah,
But
I was questioning that as well, but yeah, Hanabi going for Mona's elemental skill and ending the round as well. Child's gonna heal 2 points, but
I do think keeping egg is important there. I don't think you wanted to tune egg and play Liben. So I think the better thing was to keep egg there, but I'd still would like to see Liben put down. This is still very close.
Honestly, it is very close. I mean, the difference is basically who snipes off whose carry first, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember how many copies of Quick Swap Pilot had in his deck. He did use one already. I don't know if he has another one. I think that's something.
I
we
believe
could
he
check,
only
right?
has the one. Yeah, generally in these decks you're not running more than one quick swap because you only need one throughout the game. You usually use it to quickly get out Child's Burst on a key character, but having to use that on Lila there, not ideal. So he's out of quick swaps now.
Yeah, it was just one copy. Of course, you know, this is a blind pick tournament, so
Yeah.
Hanabi doesn't know what Pilot has in his deck and vice versa. They just kind of picked what they had and brought it. And then after this, they could no longer play these decks again. They have to change their character cards around, even if they lose with them, right? So
Yeah. We'll see completely new decks into the next round here. It's actually really hard to say who is favored here. I think Hanabi has a slight edge just based on the sheer amount of dice he's going to be able to generate this turn, although Pilot does have those 2 runners that have been adding up for the entire game.
this Rana is
pretty
very
close.
fun to watch. It's like one of those support cards that actually makes the order of your characters matter, right? Is that a Lotus on Layla?
Yeah, I think he's looking to
Wait.
tank that one reverse there.
Wait, no, but Wander still is win favored.
Oh, actually, yeah. I think Pilot's
And
not
Heavy
playing around Heavy Strike here. That could be it.
Wait.
I think you have to go for it.
Unless the reason he didn't tune Egg was because he...
No. But once you lose that 3 energy on Child, you don't threaten, I think, the opposing characters enough. Although, having said that, Wanderer and Eula are pretty low. So it actually isn't unreasonable that Layla and Barbara could finish them off here. But I feel like with like that Calx in hand and all that dice, it's going to be too much damage for Pilot to overcome. But
Are
I
you
think
sure
have
it
go for
has to be
here.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here we go.
Fine.
Quick swap on to
Let's get this over
Wander.
with.
This is most certainly going to be a normal attack to take down Child. I believe it is 4 damage with the weapon and also win favored, right?
Actually, yeah, even without Heavy Strike, this might be enough. So maybe
I'm pretty
Pilot
sure-
actually just sacrificing Child here just to finish the game, because he does have a lot of more sustain than Hanabi, and Hanabi has been kind of poked down to really low health.
Unfortunately, though, you know, Hanabi would be taking Child out with a normal attack, right? So, Wanderer's Burst is still going to be up, and I don't think Layla and Barbara threaten Wanderer on their own. It's still going to be pretty rough for Pilots.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, not having used a skill on Lila earlier, you can see Rana did not activate. Rana, of course,
Ow.
only activates
I
when you use
had
elemental skill,
only
not a normal
just-
attack. Could have been intentional. So Pilot still has 6 dice this round to work with after a skill. But
My guiding
it's really
stars!
tough. Okay.
Pilot going for Layla's elemental skill, just applying that cryo there.
But Wander's gonna be able to freely burst here. And not only that, we have Calx as well in Hanabi's hand. So Hanabi can actually go for a double Wanderer this burst this turn.
Bow your
I
head!
believe. I think there's just enough dice. Especially with that Laya song.
Whoa. Wanderer's Burst eating through all those shields and that Lotus do -2 to Layla. Of course, you know, as you say, With one more skill or normal attack, you know, Wander could go for another Calx burst here, and it could be very dangerous for Pilot, but we do see a slow swap onto Barbara.
Yeah, unfortunately, Wander doesn't have any wind fade right now, or else a heavy strike attack would be able to take out Lila here. And that would have been really deadly.
It would be, but there is the elemental skill, and that instructor does refresh an animal
Let the
dice.
show begin.
Actually, I'm not sure. I guess with Lyre Song and War Princess and stuff like that, you could with the magic artifacts tech that we haven't really seen in action yet. Oh, here we go. Lyre Song to take back the Gilded from Eula, gonna play for 1 cost and get 2 dice.
I'm not sure what the plan here is because there's no quick swaps left on Hanabi's side. I guess you could just slow swap onto Eula, and I believe with that, with that
What's
quick
your
pass, she
battle
would be able to take
plan?
someone out. So Pilot's gonna have to sacrifice Barbara here.
This is really rough for Pilot, I think. Normal attack is enough.
A little.
Yeah, but he's gonna trade, I think, for Eula because I believe at the start of next round, Layla will be able to take Eula out.
Yeah, I think so. So that's gonna avoid a freeze going on to Pilot, but I do believe that Hanabi is still sitting on the heavy strike, right?
He's still sitting in the heavy strike. The one thing going for Pilot right now is that Wanderer is not the best at finishing off a single character, but because of that Calx, you know, we could still see a lot of damage come onto Lila here with a Wanderer burst. But yeah, I don't think Lila is going to be enough to solo. And of course, the other thing to mention is those runners are completely dead now. Without another character, I believe, to the right of Lila, she can't actually activate them anymore. Ooh.
No, I haven't lost yet. Mona Burst? What is this?
I like this. Yeah, we've seen Mona Burst be very crucial for Mew in taking out Stoltex. Getting that double damage is just really critical, so this seems like a really good move here. And I think this is going to seal it, I think.
Wait. How much damage would Elemental Burst do on Wander?
From Lila?
Ricken in the
No,
snow.
if you go, I haven't lost yet Calx Wander Burst.
Oh, that's still only, I think that's 8. So that I don't think that would have been enough to take out Lila. I like
That
this
would have
Mona
been
Burst
enough.
a lot better. Would it?
It would have been 6 plus 2, right? Because she has 2 shield points?
Oh, was she at 8? Then yeah, maybe that would have been enough. I guess Hanabi going for the flashier route here, maybe playing a little bit too fast there, not seeing the Calx burst play. But yeah, if Lila was at 8, that definitely would have been enough. We are going to see an egg. Although egg is not good here because if you egg, it's just going to go down to... well, Wanderer can still hit Lila, and then the swirl is going to take out your egg character no matter what.
Not now.
Yeah, so you have to shield here.
My reckoning.
Okay, this makes sense. But Hanabi still
Yeah,
has the
doesn't
win. I
matter.
guess it's a normal
Doesn't have to
match.
win.
That's fine. That's fine.
Nicely done.
Congratulations to Hanabi for taking that first game. Yeah, I do feel like Wander Burst would have been enough though if you go I haven't lost yet into
Yeah, it's really
Calx
important, you know, you
Burst.
check you check all of your lines there and make sure that you don't give your opponent a window out. But again, once Barbara and Child had gone down at that point, it was really difficult for Pilot to come back because Lila does not do enough damage by herself, you know, because it really takes like 2 skills or 2 hits before she even does 1 cryo damage. She's a very good defensive character, but not very good offensively. And so definitely, you know, having that Child, I really do wonder if that was just an oversight, not factoring that equipped weapon. But of course, we know that Hanabi had that heavy strike anyway, and so would have been able to take out the Child no matter what.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking of. You know, I feel like letting Child sit there and basically 'cause the win favored, you can see it coming. You know that Wander is gonna go for that normal attack if you are on Layla, and it was totally avoidable, I think, for Pilot. But yeah, it was just kind of an unfortunate game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why the Mew deck, at the very least, has a pretty decent matchup into those stall decks, because they can really get around your swap stalling by having Wanderer attack off field. And, you know, I think it was a very difficult matchup to win there. And again, with this blind pick, it does come down sometimes to having the right deck match up against the right deck for your opponent here. And unfortunately, in this case, not favoring Pilot with the matchup.
I'm wondering what these players are going to choose going into the next game, because this is a best of 3, right? So it's not over. This is the 3rd place match, by the way. And here we go. Hanabi's second deck Finale! This could be the finale, right?
This could be the finale, and we saw this deck a lot. This is probably the best deck right now that is in version 4.3. You know, very strong aggressive deck. I think so, yeah, because it had the most win rate.
Blep, or should I say blap?
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
No.
so I mean, Finale did have one of the highest win rates in the Asia Invitational. This is an aggressive deck, so I mean, I do think, you know, it's hard to say what deck is the overall best in a version.
True.
Because there's like, think of the triangle, right? There's
It is-
like
it-
aggro,
sure.
stall, and combo. This
Yeah,
is
if
on the
Hanabi-
aggro side.
If Hanabi had matched this deck into the child deck, it would have been a lot worse of a matchup. So Finale does have its bad matchups, but it is probably one of the strongest decks out there.
Ooh, I am really excited to see this deck. What is this? So this is a interesting take on Dynamo. Instead of Dynamo, it's Ranimo?
Oh. Let's not try and name decks live on stream here. It's not going to go well for us. But yeah, it is double Anemo, but Raiden instead of Dea. And I saw this list earlier, so it's sacrificing a little bit of the defensive utility from Dea to basically have a much more powerful burst. Like, Dea's burst is not very powerful, but with Raiden here, she can really help boost out not only Jean's burst, but Lynette's as well. But we're interested to see how this deck opens.
So I noticed that there's Raiden's talent in that deck as well. I'm wondering why Pilot brought that. Also, so normally in Dynamo, that Dea double Anemo deck, it's kind of like stallish, right? And you bring 3 different weapons because you normally run Wagner, but Pilot's not running Wagner here. And is opting to run double Sack Sword. There are a few differences in this deck that really stand out to me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to hear your thoughts on them.
I mean, it looks like the deck was kind of built to have a better stall matchup, because normally the double Anemo deck doesn't have a great matchup into another stall deck, but with the Raiden talent there, I think it's also running Emblem and an Adeptus, you can actually get a lot of damage on bursts, and so you can kind of snipe off
No rest for the
characters.
wicked.
But unfortunately, though, sacrificing Dea's defensiveness is going to be worse in this specific matchup, because you really need her, I think, to
There is no escape!
put off the aggressiveness from Finale.
So I mean, this could potentially be the last match here in this best of 3 for
could
third
be.
place. You know, Hanabi started very. This is a very common start for the Finale deck, right? By the way, if you don't know what Finale means, it's Fair for Official, not for Nahida, and Live for Linny.
Lin-
So
Yeah,
starting with
one of the
her
better
is
deck names out there,
here.
I'll say.
It is a really good deck name. But yeah, so we see Official starting with her elemental skill. This is very standard for this deck, and you can either swap into Linny or Nahida, judging by the
Prepare
guys.
to be amazed!
Linny. That's a quick
wow.
swap.
Yeah, that's really aggressive here, and I wonder if Hanabi has experience playing against this deck, because I was wondering if Pilot was going to lead into building for a Raiden burst immediately, which is, this is going to try and deny.
Huh. I guess,
Yeah, Pilot not able
turn-
to go back to...
Turn advantage is really important for Hanabi, right?
Yeah, it could also be for turn advantage. That's true, actually. Yeah, being able to avoid that Electro Swell is going to really quickly turn this game in Hanabi's favor. So very aggressive use of that quick swap, but I kind of like it there.
Of course, your Pilot is sitting on 4 dice, can swap to Lynette if he decides to. Wondering if he's just gonna go for a normal skill on Jean though, and not
Yeah, this is
swap
really-
over.
This is pretty tough, because you're not going to have anything to do, anything else to do with that last dice here. I think a skill on Jean makes the most sense. I think threatening Linny and putting your opponent on Official is the best thing you can do. And that Overload is going to send you into Lynette next round to set up, so I think it's probably the best move that you've got, but unfortunately... Oh, okay, so going to go for those
Ooh.
equipments instead.
Ooh. Okay, so equipping Tenacity of the Millilith onto Jean and tuning to play Timaeus draws, I think it's Emblem of Severed Fate, right?
It is Emblem, and that was also the 2 cost, so General's Helm, not Tenacity, so we're not going to get
Ah.
any dice here back.
Okay, that
from there, but-
that explains the dice cost then. I didn't see that.
It was only 2 cost. Yeah, I mean, it's not a card that's used very often, although Pilot's actually used it in both his decks so far. He had it in that Lila stall deck, and he had it in this stall deck, so really favoring the shields, but I don't know, this position is already looking really good for Hanabi, having that quick swap to take your opponent off of Raiden, and he's going to be able to deny the Electro Swell here, most probably going to go to Nahida.
Yeah, this is like I feel like this is a pitfall of this deck that Pilot's playing because you don't really have Electro application other than Raiden's Burst and then her Summon. So you are relying on actually making sure you get that swirl off if you want that damage, right?
I mean, it's the same trade-off as with Daya, right? Like Daya has the same 3 you summon, so you're kind of you have the same pitfalls of getting that swell off. But it's really just Hanabi having that Leave It To Me that allowed him to play around the swell in this case. There's really not much Pilot can do about it. Luckily, you don't really need that swell, but I think based on how he's built his deck, again, to target more slower matchups, this is actually not as favored as Double Nemo would normally be into Finale.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
Over here!
Pilot opting for Lynette's skill, and of course, one thing about Lynette, another new character added in this patch, she does have her talent card. Of course, we know Pilot doesn't have it in hand, but sitting on 6 dice, he could play Lynette's talents next round, and like theoretically, from Hanabi's perspective, and go for additional, I think it's +2 damage, right, on her second cast.
+2. Yeah, so you'll do 5 total. Luckily for Hanabi, though, Pilot doesn't have a weapon equipped yet to Lynette. So if Linny's skills here, with Enigmatic Feint, I believe it's called, will be able to bring him back up to 6 and be out of range for that.
Oh.
Which probably is going to be the play. I think that's the... Given you have 3 Pyro Die, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, there is nothing stopping Pilot, though, from equipping a weapon and then going for a skill. It's exactly 6 dice, right?
Exactly 6 dice, so you do have to play around.
Is that worth it?
That could be worth it. I mean, you're still getting a lot of damage onto Lynette, and then you can, if Linny goes down here, you can follow up very easily with Nahida, 2 trigger burning, and apply... ooh, it's gonna be another prop arrow.
Oh, a prop arrow. Okay, Hanabi's really risking it here because he is in range to be taken out by a second Lynette skill, but I mean, he won the gacha. He won the 50-50.
He did.
Pilot doesn't have it.
Doesn't have it. Okay. Yeah, very, very risky play there. Could have been punished pretty hard for that move, but at this point is setting up pretty nicely for a Linny burst. Although Linny is so low, I'm getting really anxious. He really needs to use his skill to
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
Oh, finally, a swap off onto Official. I'm not sure how much I like this, though. I guess, you know...
I think Hanabi really just wanted to be swapped onto Nahida. We probably will see him actually just slow swap back onto Nahida here. Really forcing Pilot to go for the normal attack there rather than the skill.
Yeah, because Pilot doesn't want to send Official into Nahida, so Nahida can use her Repost, right? So yeah, Pilot going for that normal attack there, and is awkwardly sitting on 2 dice.
Time to broaden the horizons again.
Not be very difficult here. So Hanabi here is able to swap onto Nahida pretty safely. The only thing to play around is a Woven, of course, but Pilot does not have it in hand.
What does Pilot do here, do you think?
I think you might just actually swap to Raiden and try and sacrifice her at this point, because realistically you're not getting off her burst. There's not much of a window to go on Raiden and generate that second energy.
Huh, wait a second. Aura Cautious Glow onto Lynette, as well as the Lotus Crisp, and then slow swapping onto her. I mean, this is basically signaling to Hanabi that he's going to end the turn, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Going to be the end of the turn. This is going to be a lot of damage going to Lynette here, though. Especially if... Yeah, that Overload's going to be another 6, I believe, with that seed stack as well.
Lynette does have the Vorakasha, so she will heal for 1. It's not going to be enough to take her out, but I mean, yeah, that seed is going to negate the Vorakasha heal, right?
Yeah, and we're starting to see the difference between Raiden and Daya here, right? Like, Daya's skill here would have already mitigated 2 damage on Jean and Lynette here, but without that defensive utility, we're seeing a lot of damage go down on those key characters.
3 HP for Lynette. Raiden at 4 with that Pyro Aura. It might be up to Jean to end this.
Yeah, up to Jean, but unfortunately Jean with no weapons equipped, and that's kind of, you know, this build sacrificed Wagner for, I think, a little bit more consistency in running 2 sack swords, but without weapons equipped, it actually does hurt Jean and Lynette's utility quite a lot. getting that +1 damage over time is really a good way to push the to pressure opponents a little bit more, so they're not as comfortable just letting you sit back and stall.
Do you see a slow swap onto Jean from Pilot? I mean, this is what you have to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we'll maybe see the Heater Burst go down this round.
Stove, and you see Dispenser Yayoi Adeptus. That could be huge, actually. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, but no Lyasong, unfortunately, right now. We also have those 2 Boar Princesses, which aren't looking that great in this spot. We do have a Gamblers. So there's a couple of things that Hanabi does have here, but the cards aren't exactly too synergistic.
It's really funny having 2 Boar Princess. I mean, one thing you can do with Boar Princess, if you don't have any equips to go over like your current ones, like if you're replacing artifacts or something, you can play Boar Princess when your characters are about to go down. But I mean, now it's such an aggressive deck. We're on round 3, and look at Pilot's board state so low. If anything, I think it's Pilot that needs Boar Princess right now.
Yeah, yeah, Pilot could definitely benefit from a character's going to go down pretty soon. And I think Pilots are really going to be trying to find a window to use Jean Burst, but Jean being only at 1 energy right now, I mean, staying on Jean is so risky here, and she'd go down immediately to an Adeptus Burst as well at this point.
It really is risky, Adeptus Burst, and that's exactly what Hanabi has in hand, right? Pilots have to think really hard about what to do.
If you stay on Jean and swell to Linny, I think Linny's Adeptus Burst will also take out Jean. In fact, his skill would be enough as well, so you can't actually even use Jean's skill here. You're kind of forced to swap off, but the characters are really getting whittled down little by little, so swap stalling not even in your best interest here. So Pilot's kind of being forced into a really awkward position.
Yeah, but without that Jean Burst, what do you do? I feel like if you're Pilot, you want to sacrifice someone else, probably Raiden, right?
Yeah,
instead of
probably Raiden.
Eugene.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Raiden. He does have that Anima resonance, so we could see him could go into Lynette and skill for that +2 heal, and then hope to tank the Nahida Burst afterwards.
By the way,
maybe the best line.
So there's a QR code on your screen. We don't often shout these out for this stream, but I just wanted to say, if you want to participate in Season 2 of Cattail's Gathering, because it is coming, it's gone now, but if you go back a little bit and scan the QR code, you can join the tavern and sign up for the next tournament. Maybe you'll get to cast your games. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it is an open tournament, so unlike the Invitationals, anyone can join. Oh, and here we go, the Gamblers is going on.
Oh, Gamblers on Nahida. This is going to be her burst, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gonna be the burst. Hanabi does need to tune 2 cards. We can probably see him get rid of that. Yeah, the second Ball Princess is not looking very good here.
Don't need it.
Don't need it. Maybe that I haven't lost yet. Although you probably still keep that.
The Temple of
There's
Wisdom!
so much food there. Oh, I can't really see what everything is. We do see her burst coming down. That is plenty to take out Raiden, and also summons that burning summon on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Step on up!
Lynette's heal, like, even though I know she heals when she casts her elemental skill, it always takes me by surprise for some reason. Like, I know she has it.
I think you need to play the deck a little bit more and train harder with it.
I've played so much Dynamo. I don't think I've ever played this deck. Have you played this deck?
The Raiden variant? No.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's definitely an interesting choice, but I still don't think this is looking very much better than the Day version. You know, the defensive utility is just so huge, but we also didn't really see Raiden maybe shine in this specific match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. Like, I would like to see... it's such a creative deck. I really would like to see, you know, it do what Pilot is intending it to do, because I do think this is something Pilot cooked up himself, but
yeah.
Here we go. Tuning Seed Dispensary, most certainly gonna go for a 3 cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most likely 3 costs. There's already seeds on Jean here, so no reason to go for 5. Although there's not much you can do with those last 2 dice.
Ooh,
This way turn a little.
Makes sense. Just using up your dice and your cards. I mean, you're in a pretty advantageous position anyway. There's very little that I think Dynamo can do, especially without Wagner. You know, if Pilot had a Wagner at this point, you will have to play around a surprise weapon. But because you know your opponent has to commit 3 dice for a weapon here, it's really safe to go for these lines of play.
Ooh, Rana, I feel like that's not what Pilot wanted in playing the double
No.
Dunyazad. Pizza on Lynette, I don't know if any of this is really gonna be enough. Oh, there's the Liven. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough here. I mean, Finale is just so aggressive of a deck. And again, Pilot really trading off some defensiveness by swapping out Daya here for Raiden to get a better stall matchup. Like, I can kind of see what the plan here was. You know, Dynamo normally is pretty bad into decks like Ningguang or even that Child double Hydro deck we saw earlier. But having Raiden here makes those matchups better, but does come at a cost, which is a little bit worse matchup here into Finale.
Oh, you know what, though? So Lynette's skill isn't going to talk here like that damage dealt, so
Yeah,
she
that's going to be very
does
important for
feel
Pilot.
okay. Sustaining alright for now.
Well, she's still going to go down, though, I think, at this point to another Nahida skill, so I think it's going to be lights out for Pilot here pretty soon, because I think...
I have to see.
Oh, no, he does have turn advantage.
Yeah, so Pilot has turn advantage and 2 Animal Resonance in hand, so we could see a quick swap onto Jean.
But again, putting your opponent onto Linny when he has his burst ready, and I believe Linny's skill is going to be able to take out Jean here, because it's 6+1 damage because of that Dendro, and because of that C stack.
Normal attack instead of a skill.
Yeah, that's definitely possible as well.
Also, Pilot has Lynette's talent card.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to matter, I think, too much now. Dealing damage to opponent is not what's going to win the matchup here for you. But maybe we might see a Lynette burst. I mean, he does have that emblem here. We could see a Lynette burst with emblem equipped for another +2 damage.
Huh. You think Pilot would go for Lynette burst and sacrifice her instead of quick swapping Jean and going for Jean's burst?
Well, you haven't built up to Jean's burst yet. I mean, I guess you could normal attack, but if your opponent has any kind of quick swap as well, and you know, and from Hanabi's deck, not only is he running 2 copies of Lead to Me, but he also has a Catherine in there.
Wait, slow swap. Wait. Wait.
I think he wants to force his opponent to stay on Nahida here.
But you could do that by going for normal.
You
What's
could, but
Pilot's plan here?
I think his plan is to try to run his opponent out of dice and then get into a Jean's burst afterwards and maybe go back onto Lynette. But yeah, I think you're pretty happy just to use another skill here.
Because now with Jean's shields gone, she can't go
That's true.
for
Yeah, she can't go for a burst.
actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
too
this is
risky.
pretty dangerous now, especially because we
Why?
know of that Adeptus in hand.
Oh,
Oof.
a swirl onto Nahida, throwing her into Linny. Linny does have his burst up, and also those 2 stacks of prop surplus, and Nahida's
Gamblers.
burst, and gamblers, and
Yep.
Skanda on both Lynette and Jean. What's going on?
I mean, honestly, Pilot's so behind in this matchup, he kind of has to take these risky moves. He might be trying to force Hanabi to play certain lines that aren't ideal here, but we know that Hanabi has all the tools that he needs in hand. We'll probably see a Linny skill here to bring him back up to 5 as well, and that'll take him out of range of anything Lynette can do.
Tuning one of those I haven't lost yet. This could most certainly be Bewildering Light.
And
And there it is, -7 onto Jean, and Lynette is stuck at 1 HP. Huh.
Yeah, this is almost only going to be over very soon. I mean, we'll see a Lynette skill here, most likely, to bring her back up to 3, but even then, Linny is going to be able to finish her off.
Over
All
here!
Pilot can really do is tune into her skill, right?
Yeah, but I think that's going to wrap it up. Linny is going to be
Yeah.
able to finish this.
There is nothing else Pilot can really do here after Jean fell. I think the best thing you could have done is go for Jean's burst.
Yeah, so I think I
In the
agree with
name
you,
of the
you know,
princess
using
in-
up Anima Residence there. Oh, interesting. Wait. Hang on.
Wait. But why?
That's really weird.
But why?
I'm not sure. You could have definitely Linny skilled here. there's really
Wait.
nothing to be playing around. Your opponent doesn't have any food there, so that is a really odd move here.
I
I'm not
mean,
sure if that
either
was
way, Hanabi wins, but it's so close. We're gonna see 3 tunes into probably her second skill, right? Yeah.
Over here!
There it is. And Hida and
One
Remy are
shot.
both on 1 HP,
Descend.
but
Once again.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on either. 'Cause
Step
he definitely
right
could have
up.
just skilled here before.
So through.
Might be a bit of a mistake, but no, not gonna matter. Hanabi is gonna take that second match pretty decisively.
congratulations to Hanabi. I mean, that is 3rd place for Hanabi, right?
Mhm.
So Pilot is taking 4th place here in the Castles Gathering 2024 Season 1. Congratulations to both of these players. I personally really liked seeing the variation that Pilot brought. It was very fun to watch, so but I have to applaud both of these players for their efforts.
Yeah, and again, it very much looked like geared towards more stall decks and not having a good matchup into finally there, which is a little bit unusual for that double Nemo deck. But that's kind of the choice you need to make in these things, right? You can't build a deck that's good against every single other deck. And with blind pick, it's particularly difficult to plan around that. So I do like he went for something unique. I believe this is Pilot's first appearance in Cat's Tail Gathering, so we'll hopefully see him come back again. Obviously, Hanabi, I think, has been a repeat, coming in top 16 in previous seasons, but this is his first time making it into this late stage of the knockout bracket, so setting himself pretty nicely.
I think Hanabi participated in both Season 4 and Season 5 of last year.
Yep.
So it's always good to see, veteran players coming back and showing us what they got. But yeah, congratulations to Hanabi for 3rd place. And hopefully we'll be seeing these players again in Season 2 to rack up some of those circuit points, right?
Yeah. I mean, depending on how it shakes down, getting this far already in the tournament might already secure them a place in the Series Showdown. If you looked at those points, it's very easy to kind of rack up points very quickly if you get into this top 4. But almost certainly going to see them again in Season 2, very well done with those decks there. Playing a lot of meta decks there and playing them very well.
You're playing a lot of meta decks, especially out of Hanabi, right? And Pilot taking some interesting variations on meta decks, with Raiden 2 Enemo instead of Denemo. I'm still gonna call it Renemo.
I mean, I guess because it has Rana in it, that kind of makes sense, right?
Wait, you're right, because it's double Rana. We even
I shouldn't be
saw
supporting
double
this.
Rana. Wait, it's
supporting this.
Renemo. Okay, no, I approve. Thank you so
Okay.
much. We have a new deck. Okay, great. I want to see it played more now. Now that we have a name for it.
Yeah, but I guess that kind of wraps up our 3rd place match.
Yeah, so we are going to be going to a 10-minute break, I believe, and then we'll be getting into the finals, Binakita versus Seo. So stay tuned for that, but we will be seeing you all very shortly here.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
And welcome back, travelers, to the Catsales Gathering 2024 Season 1. Once again, my name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this is Blood the Cat Denavification Academy. It's pretty good to be back here. Sorry, my microphone was muted for a little bit there. It's a new year, new scuff, so sorry about that. But yeah, that was a really exciting third place match that we saw there. We saw, I think, Hanabi bring a lot of meta decks here, but very good, unusual choices by Pilot there. I really like seeing that creativity, and hopefully we'll see some of that going forward into the final match.
Yeah, of course. So as compared to the Asia Invitational that we just got back from casting in Shanghai, not conquest format. They don't have open deck lists or anything. So these players are basically bringing things. Hang on, did I freeze?
Sorry, my stream froze there for a second.
Yeah, I also froze. We're back though. Here is the overall bracket for the tournament, by the way. So we do have Nyahida versus Seoul in the grand finals here for that $1,000 USD prize. We're going to see who is the champion. It is another best of 3, I believe. But as I was trying to explain earlier before, we had a little bit of a technical hiccup. So basically, this tournament format is different from the Conquest format that we became accustomed to in the Asia Invitational. Basically, these players are they're not even submitting decks, they're just kind of playing decks blindly, right? And they can't have any repeating characters whether they win or lose. So you have no idea what your opponent's going to bring, and you can kind of like take your opponent by surprise in some ways.
Yeah, you definitely can, and definitely leads to a lot more room for creativity, I think, and that's what we're seeing. And here we go. Like that profile picture.
I do like that profile picture. Very safe pick, I think, into a blind pick format, you know. So this is that double Hydro Ningguang stall.
Yeah, I think it's a very good matchup into a lot of decks that people are playing right now, especially, you know, good against Dynamo, good against Finally. So we'll have to see what it matches up into. But we could be in for a long one if we have a stall matchup. I mean, look at the deck list, and there is definitely a risk of that. People are starting to favor stall a little bit more than at the start of this format, where there's a lot of aggro decks running around. But people are adapting to that, and so we could be at risk of a very long game here. So we'll see.
It's very interesting seeing how the meta changes in a single patch, because it's not like there's any balances within the patch, right? But there's like players are adapting to what is played at the start. But here we go. Seoul is bringing that finale deck that we just saw in our 3rd place match where Hanabi won, of course. I love that Chevreuse profile picture. You know, she is also a very new character.
Yeah, and maybe we'll hopefully eventually see her in TCG in not too long. But yeah, pretty standard build here. Doesn't have Catherine, of course. Only a few players prefer that version of the build, but yeah, otherwise pretty normal here. Not a good matchup though into the Ningguang stall deck.
I'm really glad that the lack of Catherine stood out to you as something to comment on, because we've seen Catherine so many times, and specifically in Finale, right?
We have, yeah. I mean, Finale, I think, is one of the decks that really makes use of that quick swap, because you are so reliant on your elemental reactions that being able to quick swap and get the jump on your opponent to trigger reactions is a pretty big deal, but not going to be the case here.
Okay, here we go. Nyahida versus Seoul in the grand finals for Season 1 of the Cattails Gathering 2024. Of course, we have this double Hydro Ningguang stall versus a very aggressive deck, Finale. Who's gonna win?
I mean, I think definitely the Ningguang deck has all the tools it needs to win. It's definitely favored in this matchup, but we'll have to see if Seoul can bring the damage out quickly. You can definitely overpower the Ningguang deck if they have a bad draw or a bad roll.
Well, speaking of bad rolls, I do believe someone has a lot of rainbow dice.
Yeah, Seal's dice are going to be very bad. Luckily, though, he does have Gilded, and that's one of a good reason to run Gilded in a deck like this is that it does help your dice fixing a little bit. You know, Finally is a deck that really wants to use elemental skills quite a lot, and so Gilded is able to do double duty.
Wait, actually, we didn't see the cards get mulligan, but I'm looking at Seal's hand. It is Gilded Yayoi Liar Song. Wait, why not play Yayoi?
Wait. That's a good question. Might have been a mistake there. You definitely want to play Yayoi.
No rest for the wicked.
It is possible he is going to commit to some kind of Liar Song play there, but you almost certainly should have played Yayoi. There's no reason not to. It's a free dice.
I mean, I guess you can play it after Liar Songing? Question mark? Do you Liar Song at this point?
You probably don't need to Liar Song, no, because you have the right amount of dice, but I think not playing Yayoi was definitely a mistake there. We may see Seo regret that a little bit later, because that is one less dice that he's going to have into a future turn.
I would like to remind you all watching at home, by the way, so Nyahida is actually a North America Prince Cup participant, was in that tournament there in Los Angeles, the very first one that Blep and I cast over together live. We were
almost a year
there.
ago now.
Yeah, it was almost, wait. No, it was
No,
like
not
7
quite,
months
not
ago.
quite. It feels like it. But you can
Like
tell
half a
Nahida
year
does
ago.
You can tell because Nahida does have that golden card back, that coveted prize from that very
Yeah.
first Prince Cup.
And Seal is, I believe, a newcomer.
We
I
can do
don't
this!
think that Seal has had any statistics in the Cat Sales Gathering so far. Otherwise, we'd probably see the card back there.
Yeah, definitely new to Cat's Tail and kind of the North America service. But you know, if you're able to make it this far, you're already a very good player. Like we saw those top 16 brackets here. Keep in mind, you have to win 4, or I guess 3 other best of 3s to even make it into this finals match, and that already takes a lot of skill.
Yeah, I know when we were looking at that leaderboard, I saw a lot of veteran players, you know, that could have very well made it into the finals. I believe Robot Wizard was first place in the actual leaderboard, but then making it into the knockouts didn't quite make it. Wait, was that a quick swap tune?
It wasn't a quick swap, no. It was just a slow swap on guard.
No,
We've been talking a little bit.
No, it got tuned.
Oh, from
Yeah, he had
Nikita's
tuned a
side?
quick swap. Yeah.
I think that makes sense. In this matchup, you're almost certainly using slow swap to advantage to try and get that Barbara cleanse. You almost never want to end first. So this is not a matchup where quick swap is that important, because as long as you can survive the onslaught from finale, you're almost favored to win. Like I don't even know you need to rush for Ningguang's burst here. You're mainly just trying to build up Barbara, and if you can Barbara burst, it kind of seals the game. And we're probably going to see a tenacity equip here momentarily with the last dice here. I think Nahida just using that time to think.
Kokomi. Not
I think that makes sense.
Ningguang.
Yeah, I mean, you're not, like I said, you're not really looking to go Ningguang here. Your opponent doesn't really have any sustain, so you can kind of play the long game by just going back and forth between Barbara and Kokomi, cleansing as much as possible. And, I mean, what we're going to see is a Kokomi skill here to cleanse out Electro, and it's going to leave Seo in a really bad spot.
Probably the dice rolls favored now. Seo keeping all that pyro, anticipating staying on Linny for a bit, I'm sure. And Yahida does have turn pyro here, so Kokomi's skill will cleanse that Electro, right?
Yeah, it definitely will. And we're probably going to see that line getting very powerful here. And you can see all this healing that Nahida has set up here, and being able to be free of reactions at this point is gonna mean Seo has a really big uphill battle. Unfortunately, those bad dice in round 1 are not gonna turn out to his advantage.
Well, I mean, with the Genasi of the Millith equip onto Kokomi, when Kokomi is hit there by Lineage, she did refund that Hydro dice, so it's something. It's something.
We could see a second. We could even see another skill here just to cleanse that Hydro again. Like, it's so important to keep those auras off of your characters.
But
so we'll not be surprised
in that case.
That's a good question. I don't see what foods Nahida has. You almost certainly want to keep the food, so I guess because you have to tune, you might just go for a normal attack, or you could even swap onto Ningguang here to take a bit of damage on her. Could also see going to Barbara. There's a lot of options here on Nahida's side.
Looks like it will be a slow swap onto Ningguang, and I think most certainly Seo is going to be going for Linny's elemental burst here. No? Okay. Going to Nahida for her skill.
Yeah, he's going to set up seeds. I think Seo did want to avoid that crystallize that was being threatened by Nahida. Wants to try and avoid as much damage. Ooh.
So, Nahida does have General's Ancient Helm, I believe, is that 2-cost artifact, and then also just drew his other Tenacity of the Millith. I'm wondering, what do you think he's going to do? Do you think he's going to equip for free now, or wait?
I think if it was me, I would go for the 2-cost equip, just because getting that shield early on is going to be so critical, like so much of a wall. Oh wow, yeah, even tuning that tenacity.
Don't waste my time.
Doesn't even need it.
Doesn't even need it.
I think that's smart.
And going for Jade Screen.
Yeah, going for the Jade Screen for, again, more defensive. You do still want to build up Ningguang's burst eventually. You're just not rushing for it like you are in a lot of other matchups. Ooh.
Everyone hold hands!
Finally, Yayoi coming out for Seo.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 2 Yayoi, but...
Yeah, 2 Yayoi.
Wait, that was a 5-cost skill from Nahida. That is huge.
Yeah, getting those seeds here. But again, it's that General's Helm going down. I mean, I think Nahida is still in a really good spot here. Is going to be able to cleanse that Dendro.
Yeah, but that's going to create a Dendro core for Seo. And so... Well, actually, it doesn't matter because it buffed the electro damage, and so it just made it exactly 3. it actually didn't matter because of Lotus Crisp.
Yeah, I mean the cleanse, you know, even though cleansing Dendro does give your opponent a core, if you actually do the math on it, it's still better to cleanse that Dendro than to let them trigger a reaction off it in most cases. So you should never be too shy about cleansing Dendro. It's just obviously if you can cleanse anything else, then do so, but not the worst.
I mean, I definitely think it was very well calculated though by Nyakuda going for the Lotus Crisp as well to protect Ningguang. It was like exactly the amount of damage to eat up that Electro from Oz. Here we go, Stove though, drawing 3 cards because it is round 3.
Yeah, going to be pretty good here.
Understood.
Not really sure if Nyakuda got a lot of useful things. I think it was Liben and 2 pieces of food.
Yeah,
So...
I mean, we'll probably see Dunyansat and Liben go down, assuming Seo doesn't do anything too aggressive. You want to be a little bit careful ramping too much in such an aggressive matchup, but you do have those 2 shield artifacts equipped now, so you have a lot of breathing room to ramp up and draw more cards and get more healing out.
Question is, how will Seo respond? Not really sitting on the best dice here. Has just enough to go for another 3-cost skill, but I'm not sure. I mean, if you're going to go for a 5-cost skill on Nahida, that kind of tells me that you're not going to be building up to her burst.
Yeah.
Then...
That's usually the reason why, you know, when you see people play the finale deck, they don't go for the 5-cost skill in Nahida. It's actually very rare. It's because you just want to skill twice so you can generate energy anyway, and so you're not as incentivized to go for that 5-cost. But I do like going for that 5-cost here. You could just refresh the seeds and getting more Dendro onto the last.
That is what we see here. So it is another 3-cost from Nahida. Her burst is up. I should say Nahida, not Nyahida. Going between the 2 names is so funny though.
It really is, but it's because you're able to refresh those seeds, it's still gonna be a very good use of that follow-up skill. And now we're gonna threaten burst, but it might be a little bit too late.
She was hungry, and Jade Screen Crystallize giving another shield point to her. I'm hungry.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing, you know, Nahida really favoring that defensive opening as much as possible is really going to start paying off here, because you can see how high health his side is compared to Seo's, even though Seo is the more aggressive deck. Linny, of course, does have 2 stacks of prop surplus.
Yeah, Linny is your finisher in Finale, right? Finale's finisher. This is basically his deck. After Nahida gets her burst out, she doesn't need to stay up, right?
Yeah, after you burst on Nahida, it doesn't, you know, she's pretty disposable after that, especially once you've applied the seeds here, but it's really not looking good for Seo, and this is why this matchup is so unfavored. All of the cleansing that Nahida was able to achieve is really starting to pay off now. You know, there's not as much damage sticking, and honestly, not even that many reactions so far to be able to trigger the seeds in the first place.
I definitely feel like this is an effect of the tournament's format, because, you know, you're not really sure what your opponent's going to be bringing, so you have to bring what it's safest. So Nahida coming in with this stall deck, very, very classic stall deck up against, you know, a meta that is typically very aggressive. It's not only Finale, but also like Mute,
Victory will be ours.
deck, and other, you know, I feel like the combo decks like Ilan OTK are also very aggressive in some cases.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't think we saw anyone bring much combo, and I think that could be because of how many aggressive decks are in this format, although everyone did bring Finale. So that still, I think, is maintained as the most consistent top deck so far.
But yeah, I definitely feel like this pick as your first game.
No rest for the wicked.
Of course, still having to tune 3 different cards just to cast Oz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those cards mattered too much, but, you know, having to use up those resources, especially against the stall deck, is not ideal.
Take heart. Victory will be ours.
You have to keep switching on to Kokomi. I thought for sure he was going to go for that Lieben pass, but...
Yeah, I think he's trying to get the elemental reaction so you can skill and deny more reactions later. Also playing around that Vorukasha that went down official there, so not opting to make an attack that would not only be healed right back up anyway, but would give Seo that extra card.
Yashida's playing Liven despite not having any dice to give to him.
Yeah, that's very interesting, especially with that Dunyazad as well. You're not going to be able to trigger that Dunyazad, but maybe the window for Dunyazad is already over. We might not see her played at all after this.
Oh wait,
Oh, Tenacity.
no. Tenacity of the Millet is on Kokomi, and so the summon at the end of turn hit Kokomi, made a Hydro die, and that's why he played Liven.
Makes sense.
The things you don't have in spectator mode.
I mean, it's definitely very confusing to have both types of helms in this matchup because, you know, you have General's Helm and Tenacity generating shields. So you can't actually tell which one is equipped unless you remember. But yeah, we have Tenacity on Kokomi and General's Helm on Ningguang. We saw Nihida just draw a second General's Helm that's probably going to go to Barbara.
Most likely going to go to Barbara. I believe that last artifact there is Vorukash's Glow, right?
Mm-hmm. We could see that equipped on Barbara, but I think General's Helm is generally better, especially since you have that. Especially because you have that Tamayas there getting you equip it for free. That was completely unintentional, by the way.
Someone please shield me from that spot. Get it? Because General's Ancient Helm gives you 2 shield points.
Anyway, Seal's definitely an uphill battle here. There's a lot of shields coming up from the other side, and the cleansers are just gonna be too much. Like we're really starting to see why this is such an unfavorable matchup, and it's really too bad.
A round of applause
that finale went into, because I think this is out of the 3 decks that Nikita bought is gonna be the worst one.
But there is Linny's Burst, and I mean, I definitely agree with you. It's kind of too little too late. When you're playing Finale, you're looking to end the game around now, and this game is nowhere close to being over, right? Nahida is sitting on her burst, though, and Fischl is 1 energy point away from her own burst. I really feel like, you know, Seol has room still to, like, basically turn the tides in this
Wish me
game,
luck!
But...
Well, the one thing that is going for him is he does have that Linny sitting at 3 prop surplus stack. So Linny's skill right now is going to do 6 damage, and I think one of the food in his hand is Tandoori, which gets that up to 8. So that could be a potential window to snipe off Ningguang here, but because you're sitting at 8 with 2 shields as well, it's going to be like just out of range.
But these players are, you know, they have advanced so far in this tournament. I think they would definitely know to avoid leaving Ningguang out in the open to get sniped, right? Especially Nyefta, who has been playing for a very long time now. So
yeah, I mean, Ningguang's almost certainly, you know, if you do the math on it, what your opponent could have, you know, you should be aware of Tandoori, but Ningguang is still safe. But we're still going to see Nahida swap stall here onto Barbara. I mean, at this point, though, with Kokomi's Burst at the ready as an option, and if Nahida ever builds up to Barbara Burst, that really will mean the game is over. You know, we might not even see Ningguang take the field all that much, because she doesn't really need to at this point.
I mean, Yahida, I'm pretty sure, has Sacrificial Fragments and also Double Tenchaku, Sumer City, Vanarana, etc. We haven't seen any of it. I don't even think we've seen Hydro Res or Wovens yet. We've just basically been seeing, like, his food and companion cards.
Yeah, this might actually... Yeah, that's true. We might actually... I mean, to be fair, though, all of those equipments have been paying off a lot, right? Like, you would honestly much rather have the shielding than ramping into more dice at this point, because the shields over time generate value a little bit quicker than a lot of these heals. But the combination of the two is simply over too much, I think, for Nancy to overcome at this stage.
Yeah, but I think Seol is about to go for Nahida's Elemental Burst here, is sitting on 3 Dendro dice. Equips gilded onto Linny just to get the 2 extra dice, and here we go, Adeptus Burst into -6 onto Barbara. Not nearly enough to take her out, but I guess it's something.
Not nearly enough. Yeah, it's something. I'm actually also surprised that Nikita, you know, I see there's 2 dice left. I think he had a window to go for a normal attack on Barbara and then get 2 dice left over on Liben, but we might just see those 2 dice, used to swap instead. We might see a Woven go down.
Yeah, he does have a Woven. He also has Liben at only 1 stack, and I'm pretty sure between the 2 0-cost artifacts in his hand, he's probably not going to use both of them, so we could either see a tune into Liben or maybe another attack from Ningguang.
Well, he can't tune now because it's swapped onto Ningguang, which would tune a Geo dice. It's just with that normal attack. I guess it was a skill on Barbara, so never mind. It was a skill on Barbara before.
Yeah, so we had to tune into a skill on
Yeah.
Barbara. Yeah, it wasn't a normal attack from her. But you're right that we are on Ningguang, so you can't tune Geo into anything else.
So Xiao did end first, so we have to keep in mind the summons on his side are going to go before Nahida. So Nahida has to be very careful which character he ends on, so that cleanse goes on to the right character here. I think maybe...
Is he safe
think
ending
you can
here
stay
if
on
he
Ningguang.
Jade Screens?
I think he's safe, yeah. He should be. Finale, Linny can do 6 damage, and then Ningguang should go up to...
No, the only
Should
thing is
be
Linny
at
is sitting
10.
on 3 stacks of prop surplus, which is pretty
Right.
brutal. if you
But at the
ask
end
me.
of this round, I believe the seed stacks will be gone, and then if you end on Ningguang here, she won't have any elemental applications on her. And with the extra shield you get at the beginning of next round, I believe Ningguang should be safe. She should be at 8 again, I think, once all
Wait.
the summons go to pass.
With a no Jade Screen from Ningguang, choosing instead to play the Woven, and basically feed those 2 dice into Weaven.
Okay, so it's going to be at 6, but no,
6.
7 because of that Tisa.
No, yeah, 7.
Oh no, we have the jellyfish
8.
as well. Yeah, so yeah, she's gonna be back at 8, and without an elemental aura this time, she's even safer than she was last round. So this is a perfectly safe play. Ooh,
Ooh.
the Hydro Resonance.
Hydro Res. It's a bit late in the game to get that Sumeru City. I think Nahida only brings the 1 copy of it, but you normally want to play earlier to maximize the efficiency, right?
Yeah, honestly, the ramping is not going to be too important, but wow, during that second one,
Second, Hydro Res and also Sacrificial Fragments if he chooses to use
yeah,
it. Also, look at these dice! And look at
they're
Seal's
almost
dice!
perfect. I mean, Seal's dice aren't terrible, but I think the window has really closed for him to be able to do anything in this game. Oh,
Oh!
okay,
Wait.
a lot of things are going down.
You guys, a Chef Mal into Tandoori, which basically means it's a free Tandoori because he gets 2 dice back. Ends up getting the perfect dice back, actually. Has to tune 1 for Nahida's elemental skill, but with that quick swap, that could be dangerous.
So I think Seo is very much anticipating here Nahida to take out Nahida here, but you know, all Nahida has to do, this is so confusing. All Nahida has to do is basically slow swap here to deny the kill and force Shio to perform
We'll
a
need a
swap, and that's going to
strategy.
really limit, the efficiency of that Tandoori.
Yep.
Because otherwise, I
And
think
that's
Shio.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I said otherwise Shio would actually be able to get 3 skills off this round. I believe if Nahida played into it.
Yeah, so I mean that's exactly what Nahida does, right? Slow swaps onto Kokomi to deny. I mean, it's also the Boar Princess.
Right. Yeah.
You're playing that Boar Princess to try to get a dice back from Nahida going down. But
I mean,
it didn't
Shio
happen.
does have 2 artifacts in hand to equip, so either way, he will be able to make use of the Boar Princess this round. But I just don't see a way that he can actually deal enough damage, especially with that Barbara Burst. Like, any damage that... If Shio goes for a really aggressive line this round, like trying to burst on Fischl or going for another skill here, Nahida has the option just to go onto Barbara, normal attack, and then burst.
I think this is the best thing Nahida could have done, by the way. So going for
By
Kokomi's
royal
elemental
decree!
skill to decrease that damage coming out of Fischl with her Oz. Because with Tandoori, the catalytic stacks, the Nahida burst, there's a whole lot of damage that could have been dealt with in Overload, but
Right.
that cleanse from Kokomi is super important.
Covenant
Yeah.
of defeat!
Oh,
Ooh.
wait, Kokomi's burst!
So we're just going to stay on Kokomi here. Okay, we might see a window to equip Sacrificial Fragments here, because we do have those 3 Geodai. I like staying on Kokomi here. Ooh. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, wait. A lot
I mean,
happened. We don't see sack frags. Sumeru City comes
No.
down to a normal attack.
Yeah, you probably don't really need to use Sacrificial Fragments anymore at this point, because your opponent's already so low, and you care more about protecting your own characters, but Kokomi Burst is going to do a lot of healing here. I like staying on her, though, to cleanse that Electro and also take that extra Oz hit, so... Yeah, this is almost unwinnable position from Finally at this point.
Finally, the game is looking to close.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a long one, but I just want to point out, you know, it's been very well played on Yahida's side there, you know, playing very defensively, which is what you want to do. in this matchup, but prioritizing that cleanse and really making it difficult for Finally to execute its game.
Yeah, I mean, when you're watching stall games, it always looks like there's a whole lot of nothing going on, right? But it's because, like, every single, like, just moving from one character to another and taking an entire turn for that, like, it is crucial the order you play things in order to, like, avoid certain death. Especially, like, Ningguang is your sole damage dealer in this deck. It's not really like the child stall deck we saw earlier from Pilot, where, I mean, there is some opportunity to control your opponents with the Layla Barbara freeze. Like, you have double Hydro with 0 damage from the both of them.
Well,
even if you hit them to max.
You say Ningguang's a damage dealer, but honestly, Kokomi and Barbara, I think I've probably put out more because Ningguang only is at 2 energy. I think it was just a Jade Screen and a normal attack. So collectively, Barbara and Kokomi have probably done more damage than Ningguang at this point.
Yeah,
so that's really all you need.
It's in like 1 or 2 damage increments, right? Because, I mean, that's all they can do. But it is all you need, especially against a really aggressive deck like Finale, that is not going to have a lot of healing, right? So there's no real way for Seal to sustain against, like, getting whittled down slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game would be definitely have not taken as long, you know, had Nihida kind of drawn a little bit differently, but getting all those defensive artifacts, you know, prioritizing Timaeus, and I think really that play to go for General's Helm instead of Tenacity, realizing that it's more important to get the 2 shields as soon as possible than to be generating extra dice from the Tenacity over Helm was pretty important there, because that could have very easily gone the other way. If you had waited another turn, that's another turn you're not getting shields if you're prioritizing
Step
dice.
right
So playing this matchup correctly, I think.
Really going for that Bewildering Light's elemental skill there, healing to full and using up all those prop surplus, bringing Barbara down to 5 even through her 2 shields.
Yeah, but that's really the last thing that Seal had saved up, right? I mean, we do have that Fischl Burst here, but honestly, Fischl Burst is going to get very easily countered by a Barbara Burst, but losing that Finale, that set of stacks on Linny is going to make it super safe for Ningguang to take the field, and that's what Nihida is going to do now.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately for Seal, of course, Nihida doesn't know if Seal is carrying 1 or 2 copies of Adeptus, but Seal did use that Adeptus earlier. It's only sitting on 4 dice at the moment. Even with the quick swap Fischl Burst, it's not going to be nearly enough damage onto Ningguang. But it looks like we're going to see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well, because Ningguang is the character you want damage to stick on the most, but unfortunately, I mean, there's really not much else you can do, right? I think this is kind of the only play available to Seo, just to be as aggressive as possible. He does still have those 2 Chef Maos and Yayoi, so we could actually see quite a lot of dice still this round.
Oh yeah, there is that Swing a Dam coming in for an extra
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Fischl's Burst bringing Ningguang down to 7 health plus 6. It's 1 more of that seed. Procking.
But, you know, now all of the energy has been expended from Seal's side. You can see it's not enough to really take out any of the characters, and we might just see Kokomi do 2 normal attacks to heal up the team even more.
I mean, with Sumer City, you definitely have that option, right?
Yeah, and I think that might be a fine play.
Like, why go for anything more aggressive if you can just stay on?
You really
Kokomi
don't need to.
And whittle your opponent down and keep healing.
And I think that's definitely the right approach from this point, yeah. You already have that burst up. You can even build up... I mean, at this point, you could probably just stay on Kokomi and continually use burst into 2 normals and just force your opponent to do something.
Seal's Linny is going for some magic tricks here. Liar Song into Builded. Just enough to summon Prop Arrow, like Grimelkin summon coming out on the board, but what is that going to do for him?
I mean, it's what you need to do to kind of, you know, the prop arrow is the most efficient damage skill out of Linny, and at this point, that's the only way you can be able to get damage onto your opponent. But yeah, we could just see Kokomi's skill here cleanse that Pyro and really make it tough. Well, actually, no, cleansing Pyro is not great here because then your Ningguang ends up with Pyro on her anyway.
What if you just
so could
burst
just see a
again?
normal attack. You could just burst again. I think you can wait on burst though until next round. Yeah, it's just be another normal attack. This makes sense. And at this point, Xiu's characters are so low that even if Nihida, I think, loses Ningguang here, it's actually not a big deal anymore, just because of how efficient he's being able to be with the defensive skills and equipment.
I would definitely agree, especially looking at Xiu's cards here. Both these players should be drawing out their decks right now, right? Very close to being low on cards.
Oddly enough, I think Xiu has less cards in his deck than Nihida. Usually it's the stall deck that tends to draw through its cards very quickly, but I guess that's I think Xiu did use Stove.
Oh! Depth is there for Nihida.
Definitely overkill at this point.
It is overkill, but I'm wondering if he's gonna get a chance to go for Chikawa style finisher, Adeptus Burst on Ningguang for the finisher.
Yeah, definitely could be seeing that. I mean, we're probably not even going to see Sacrificial Fragments equipped though at this point. So is it going to be the maximum amount of damage possible on Ningguang? But Adeptus could still come in clutch.
I need to comment on something. Nihida keeps having like the most amazing dice rolls. It is driving me crazy. And look at Xiu's dice. Xiu's dice are always rainbow, at least in this game.
It's definitely Yeah, Xiu definitely needs some better dice rolls in order to catch up in this game. Having to tune so many cards, especially running out of cards as he is now, is going to make it very difficult for him to come back, if that even is possible.
I mean, what is on to Nihida? I'm wondering...
Oh, it's a slow swap. Okay.
Probably gonna go for, hopefully, a skill, trigger the burning, and spread seeds, but I feel like it's very idealistic. You could have quick swapped, I guess.
Yeah, it is very idealistic, and we could, at this point, we could see Nihida go to someone like Barbara instead of opting to take out that Lotus on Ningguang. I think denying that reaction is pretty important. I'm pretty surprised Xiu didn't use that Leave It to Me in hand. Might be trying to save it to try and snipe off Ningguang, but honestly, at this point, it's such a stretch to be able to take her out.
We'll need a strategy.
Position.
Whenever these games come up with this double Hydro Ningguang stall deck, I always say like, it's really hard when you're up against players to know exactly like how to play these decks and how to play against them, to go for a snipe on a character like Ningguang, who is so essential to like basically the core of this deck, right? So in my opinion, you should be trying to snipe off Kokomi or Barbara first. Like, just get a lot of damage on them quickly.
Wish me luck!
Nihida is going to be swapping between them back and forth, right?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Taking out those characters and kind of limiting the options of what swap stalls are available is definitely a valid strategy. I think you're right that, the players at this level aren't going to be carelessly putting their Ningguang into danger. And so you have to find different ways. But you can just see how effective the swap stalling is here. Basically wasting Xiu's Lotus there and forcing him to swap off to another character anyway.
By royal decree!
There's Oz, but that does leave Xiu at 0 dice. I don't believe there is much in his hand. Oh, Barbara's Burst!
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, Barbara's Burst basically will signal the end of the game for Xiu. And there's a concession. Okay.
Wait!
I called it. I called it. Well, we'll let him off in that case, because again, that position was just so unwinnable for Xiu. The matchup was already so much worse in his favor that I think he tried his best, but you really needed to high roll really well. But again, having really bad dice in round 1, Nihida drawing a lot of defensive equipment there was just too much value to overcome, I think.
I would agree. I mean, I think the concession is very I don't want to say necessary, but it makes sense considering what we would have witnessed otherwise after that Barbara Burst was basically another 10 minutes of the same thing and an eventual end. Like, that Barbara Burst did signal the end. There was no real coming back from that, right? So
yeah, and of course Nihida could have played a little bit more aggressively to not have the game drag out, but when you're playing a stall deck, that is the right approach to take, right? Like, you're not in a rush to finish the game. The longer the game goes on, the better it is for you anyway. And so even though it would have been end of the game quicker to be more aggressive on Ningguang, that's not what you want to do. And that's kind of what we saw in that matchup. Kokomi and Barbara really doing the brunt of the damage, but also the healing just being so much cleanse to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in these best of 3s, especially in the grand finals, you have to be preserving that mental, right? So that extra 10 minutes is definitely going to be going into that second game here, and Yahida is pulling a no you, bringing finale instead.
Yeah, and a very similar list here. I'm doing a quick comparison. So it looks like it does have a Dunyazad and one less Opera. So a couple of slight one-card differences here. You know, a lot of these high players have their own preferences with what cards they think are good and what cards work best in these decks. But the core of the deck is going to be the same.
And here is Seo bringing Mew, that Mona Yula Wanderer deck. I just want to note that it is in the exact order to spell out Mew, which is where that name came from. So thank you. Also, actually no, everything looks pretty standard here, right?
Yep, everything looks pretty standard. You know, the cover differences we tend to see. I guess that Northern Smoked Chicken is a little bit unusual. Most decks actually don't run any discount food, but a one-of is pretty nice for key situations. But yeah, pretty standard list, but also pretty bad matchup once again for Seo here. Not really having a good matchup RNG.
Here we go. We are getting into this. It could potentially be the last game of the stream, actually, because this is a best of 3 for the finals. Whoever wins this best of 3 will be taking home $1,000. By the way, 1,000 USG. So,
yeah, pretty big prize.
It is a pretty big prize.
Not the biggest prize we're giving out in January, but
true. Dunyarzad into Yayoi.
No rest for the wicked.
Now, I believe it was Borukasha on official, and then her skill.
Yeah, it is Borukasha. And that's actually a pretty ideal start from both sides, actually. You know, looking at Seo's hand, he does have that Wagner off of Dunyazad too, and an Instructors as well.
Hang on.
Did he draw a lamp?
Look at Yahida's dice rolls.
Yeah.
Again. And Seo's.
It's pretty perfect.
It is pretty perfect, and it's not perfect for Seo.
No, Seo isn't have to tune for a Mona skill here, only getting one Omni and no Hydro dice, so yeah, this is gonna be rough. It's gonna be really rough.
It's very painful. It has no payment for those last two.
Prepare to be amazed.
And this overload is going to send Seo off of Mona as well, so he's not going to be able to have the quick swap at the start of the next round. It'll be interesting to see what Nahida chooses here. I think he's going to go for a skill, because if you go for a prop arrow here, it will push your opponent onto Wanderer, which is exactly what they want anyway. Oh, it is still going to be a prop arrow. Okay. Alright, so not afraid of Wanderer.
I mean, a skill would also be applying Pyro, right? It would have to be a normal attack.
But you don't get the summon, so the difference between this is prop arrow drops the summon, so this is going to push Seo onto Wanderer, which I'm a little bit surprised by. Yeah, I definitely would have thought you would want to just use the skill, so your opponent has to slow swap onto Wanderer, and then you can deny the swell. But we'll see how this goes.
Yahida is prioritizing just getting a lot of damage out quickly. Yeah.
I think that's fine in this matchup. You definitely have the advantage in terms of damage, I think. But Seo did draw the perfect weapon that he wants in this matchup. Ooh.
Also, look at Yahida's dice again. So, I mean, we could very well see a 5-cost from Nahida. Yahida's Nahida.
We could, but that's probably a little bit slower than what you want in this matchup. We'll probably just see maybe a skill on Linny here just to get back up, just to deal more damage to Wanderer.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, I mean, Wanderer is the active character. I actually wonder if you're right that it was a mistake to go for that prop arrow, because now Linny's at 4 health, and if Nahida swaps onto Nahida, that will not spell good news for Linny.
But I think you're fine losing. You might be fine losing Linny in this matchup. I'm really not sure. Because as long as you can get your summons down, you can deal enough damage with Nahida specifically to take out the other characters. Getting damage on Eula can be pretty important, so that might be the reason why he went for that line. You know, Eula is the finisher for Seo here, not Wanderer. Wanderer generally not very good at taking out characters one by one. But unfortunately for Nahida here, Seo did get kind of the high roll weapons and artifacts you needed. Has that Instructors, has that 1,000 Floating Dreams, so this is going to pile on damage very quickly if Nahida isn't able to threaten Wanderer sufficiently this round.
By the way, if you see that QR code on your screen, I saw some people in chat earlier asking about how do you join these tournaments?
Now disappear!
Well, if you scan the QR code and join the Genshin Impact Tavern Discord server, you will get to sign up for the next one whenever it comes. So.
Yeah, and make sure you do, if you're interested in competing in these tournaments. And these are the tournaments that will ladder up into the Prince Cups, the bigger, high-level tournaments that not only have more prize money, but get you that nice golden card back, because there's another one up for grabs in 2024.
It's not Dragon's Spine, but there is certainly one, and if you participate in a live event, you'll get it. But here we go, Adeptus Burst on Linny. Is this going to be enough to take out Wander?
That should be enough. Adeptus, Linny's burst is 3, so this should do exactly 6 damage. So yeah, this is...
Wait. Boar
Wow,
Princess replacing
gilded.
the artifact on Linny with Gilded gives another 3 dice.
Yeah, this is going to be lights out for Wanderer here, and probably for Sio.
Fire Song Gilded. This is the magic engine that we've always been talking about. New to patch 4.3, by the way. I don't think it was adjusted going into 4.4, so you are free to build decks with this engine.
Here comes the finale!
Yeah, the
Everything
Gilded Liaison
was
package
futile.
is not going to see any adjustments, so yeah, we're going to have to spend another patch with it. I mean, I think it's powerful, but
Let me scry.
honestly, a lot of that power is also due to these individual characters. Like Fischl and Nahida, we've kind of seen them forever. They've been in the game since as soon as they've released, have been staples, and so this deck really isn't just the combination of the Gilded package, but is just the strength of these 3 characters by themselves.
I like how Linny's burst line is, here comes the finale, and then this deck is called Finale. It's like literally, here comes the finale.
I've been waiting for you for
Yes.
ages.
Why aren't you saying anything?
Because you've said everything that is needed to say on that subject.
But yeah, Nahida with 3 gender dice, it is actually just perfect to go for a 3 cost skill on Nahida. And that is going to trigger Quicken with Oz, as well as proc the seeds for additional damage. There's a lot happening here.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be enough to take out Mona, but it almost doesn't matter here. Without a Wolf's Gravestone at the ready, I don't think there's an opportunity for you to actually take out any Wolf characters here.
Interesting. I think we just saw another Gilded equip onto Linny. I'm wondering what the purpose of that was.
Might have just been to generate extra dice for that Borokasha.
It's an honor
or,
to
I
be
guess the
here.
swap at the end here.
Swapping on
think it's
Linny,
fine.
taking that hyper damage from Luna's summon. I guess Nahida anticipates losing Linny next turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine to equip it there because you'd already used Liaison to discount that dice. It might have just been a Liaison that was not intended, because of course, had he not used it, he could have just avoided that entirely. But swapping to Linny here is fine. I mean, Linny's already taken out Wanderer, so you're perfectly happy to lose him here.
Nahida drew his other Liar song. I do think that that Gilded's gonna go bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, that Gilded is going to go down, most likely, but between Fischl and Nahida here, it's going to be enough to, I think, take out Eula. Again, without a Wolf's Gravestone, it's going to be really hard for Sio to take back the game here. He does have a Gamblers and Fresh Wind play, though.
Yeah, this could actually be really bad for Nahida, because Eula is a pretty good finisher,
True.
especially with the heavy strike in hand as well, and I haven't lost yet. Eula's sitting on a lot of dice here. 3 Gilded, going to give Sio another 2 dice.
I think you almost have to go for the Gamblers into Fresh Wind here, because then your opponent can't safely go to Fischl, because then you can take her out with a follow-up, and then you can freeze Nahida. So actually, maybe this game isn't over. It looked like Nahida was in a really good position, but honestly, ending on Linny there doesn't seem ideal.
Yeah. And losing that Gilded, I'm not sure. I kind of lost track. I'm not sure if another Gilded was replaced by Gilded, and if this is Nahida's last Gilded, or if we just haven't seen it yet. But this will spell the end for the current Gilded on Linny, because Seal does swap to Eula. It has a Gambler's equipped.
Yeah, I believe that is the last guild. I believe the other one did get replaced, like you said, because of Ball Princess. And Fischl right now does have a Vorukasha. But yeah, ending on Lini here is really surprising because it's going to let Eula very efficiently take out Lini with her skill and then threaten both Nahida and Fischl with the follow-up Grunhardt here. So Rita's a bit of a misplay.
Press Wind of Freedom. This will enable Seal to go yet again. And
In the
of
name of
course,
the princess
using that
in.
elemental skill means that the next elemental skill
Wait.
Eula casts will consume that Grimhard's dash.
Crush!
Take out Fischl as well.
Yeah,
no.
okay. I mean, I think you're forced into
Descend
that play here, but now you're just
once
dead to a
again.
Eula Burst.
That's it.
Oh, no.
Wait,
Oh, actually-
Wait.
Oh, I didn't see the Tandoori. Yeah, Tandoori 3.
Tandoori 5 cost? Is that
Yeah,
actually enough?
with the quicken stack, that's actually exactly enough.
Oh!
Everyone hold hands!
All right.
Wait, that is enough!
That's it.
I'll be back.
I
Okay.
didn't see the quicken stacks.
Yeah, I take that back. You know, that was definitely the right play there with that Tandoori in hand. I believe.
Written in the
Oh,
stars.
actually. No, it's not enough. Yeah, Mona can only do... Oh, no, Heavy Strike! Well, Nahida has to egg here, but Heavy Strike is going to be able to take out the opposing Nahida as well. So that egg actually
But-
very important. Without the egg, Seal could have actually finished this game. But because of that egg, I think it is over. That was actually a very clutch
Mona
egg.
is so bad at doing more than 2 points of damage at once, even with her burst. Like the heavy
Well-
strike is gonna be just enough to take out Nahida, but then she doesn't have another action, right?
Right,
it.
right. Well, that's what I mean. If Nahida didn't have egg there, Seal
Yeah.
could have actually finished it with a burst into a heavy strike normal. But with the egg coming in clutch once again. It was definitely the highlight of the Asia Invitational.
Shadows of fate!
Oh.
I love watching Egg in action. It is, it's a treat. It's honestly a treat.
Yeah, I mean, Shell should definitely... It's not going to matter, but Shell should definitely just have gone for the heavy strike normal for the heck of it. But at this point, turn priority is in Nahida's side. So you may want to clean up Mona here and take the win. You're going to
Make
burst?
yourselves
Probably
a
gonna be a
hoop!
burst here. So Nahida ended the game with Nahida. What a more fitting way to take the first win here in this finals with Castle's Gathering Season 1 2024.
Yeah. So very decisive. Again, finally is definitely favored in there. And part of that, I believe, recognizing that Eula is the finishing character for Mew in most cases. So prioritizing that damage onto Eula early on, I think that really ended up mattering, right? Like if Eula wasn't so low in that spot, then you wouldn't have that Tandoori 5 cost play, which is a pretty expensive one, right? It's 7 dice to invest just to deal 6 damage, but that ended up being the right move there. So be able to play around that fresh Wind of Freedom despite letting Eula trigger Gamblers twice in that last round.
Yeah, I think if Nahida hadn't been able to take out Eula there, it would have just been disastrous, right? Because there was that Hydro Aura on Nahida, even if Eula wasn't able to take her out one hit for whatever reason. So I think you're right.
It was so close.
It was very close. And we were debating at the beginning of that match whether or not, going for the skill versus prop arrow was better. But I guess we have our answer because it was like the decisive factor, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's the more aggressive line, like you mentioned. It piles up more damage quickly, and so it's your decision whether you want to race in that matchup or you want to play a little bit more stall or like slower to try and force your opponent to have more awkward plays with Wanderer. It did end up working out, but again, if Nahida didn't have that egg at the end, Shiol would have actually won with a heavy strike normal buffed by Mona Burst for exactly enough damage to kill the opposing Nahida there. So got a little bit lucky, but then again, egg always feels that way. That's why you include it in the deck.
Egg is so hit or miss. It's always fun watching it play, even if it does absolutely nothing. But in that case, as we've commented on already, it was very crucial for Nahida taking that first game. Of course. Wait, no, that was game 2. That was game 2.
So that's it.
Game 1 was the Ningguang double Hydro Stall. I forgot. That was such a long game. I almost thought it was from the last set, but no, that's it. That's literally it. So
yeah,
wait, Nahida won 2 games in a row here
2-0
against Seal. So that actually means that Nahida is the winner of the Castle's Gathering 2024 Season 1 finals.
Season 1, yeah. Starting that season off with a very good start. So we'll have to see. Definitely earned a place in the series showdown that eventually, hopefully, will go into one of the Priest Cups if he can do well enough there. So congratulations to Nihida taking away first place. And good congratulations as well to Show as a first-time appearance in Cat's Tail, coming in second place.
Yeah.
Nothing to be scoffed at.
It is nothing to be scoffed at all. And of course, if you're watching on at home and you're wondering how you can get in on the action, please head over to the Genshin Impact Tavern Discord server. There is more tournaments, not only for America, but also for Asia and Europe. And there will certainly be a season 2 because it's basically already been announced, right? Normally they start at the beginning of the next patch. So you can join in on the fun. You'll be playing 35 games, the preliminary rounds, and see if you get into the top 16, but maybe you can make it into the series showdown as well. And of course, congratulations again to our winner, Nyahida. 1,000 USD for first place.
Yeah, and of course, next season also comes with its own card back. So if you are in for that, make sure you join the season 2 Cat's Tail, as you don't want to miss out on that.
Definitely, but it has been a series.
But yeah, it looks like that's going to be the end of this finals here. We saw some very good matches here. 2-0 sweeps on both sides, so very decisive plays here. But again, part of that is a lot to do with the matchup RNG sometimes, and we saw kind of the favored deck take the game in each case. So we'll have to see what the next season brings.
Very exciting to see Nyahida, winning the finals with Nihida. What is more fitting than that? But yeah,
True.
That will be it for us. Once again, my name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this has been Blep at Blep the Cat. Hoping you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thanks for joining us